longer in danger of being bound by enemies of the Inquisition, demon?
Yes, I am no danger now.
No more than you were before.
You worried for me.
I was concerned about you, demon. You have grown adept at killing. If you cannot be gone, I would prefer you remain pointed at the enemy.
No, you were worried. The part of you that forgets I'm me cared. You wanted to go away. You think caring makes you weak. Don't worry. I won't tell anyone.
Have you seen Enchanter Vivienne? That's the picture of what a circle mage should be.
She looks like a noble. It's arrogant.
It is not arrogant to be unafraid.
Lord Trevelyan of Ostwick, representing the Inquisition.
A pleasure, sir. We so rarely have a chance to meet anyone new. It is always the same crowd at these parties. So you must be a guest of Madame de Fer, or are you here for Duc Bastien?
Are you here on business? I have heard the most curious tales of you. I cannot imagine half of them are true.
What have you heard about me?
Some say that when the veil opened, Andraste herself delivered you from the Fate.
I've heard very little about Duc Bastien.
He hasn't been seen much at court lately.
His business with the Council of Heralds often takes him from home for long periods. It can't be good for a man of his years.
And of course, there's the civil war. Bastien probably wishes to distance himself from the actions of his one-time son-in-law.
Tearing up the Dales in a foolish bid for power? It will end in disgrace for Gaspard. Everyone knows it.
I'm not familiar with that name. I was invited here by First Enchanter Vivienne.
Madame de Fer is a fond nickname the court has given Lady Vivienne.
I've heard she finds it amusing.
Everything you've heard? Completely true.
Better and better. The Inquisition should attend more of these parties.
The Inquisition. What a lot of pig shit. Washed up sisters and crazed seekers. No one can take them seriously. Everyone knows it's just an excuse for a bunch of political outcasts to grab power.
The Inquisition is working to restore peace and order to Thedas.
Here comes the outsider, restoring peace with an army. We know what your Inquisition truly is. If you were a man of honor, you'd step outside and answer the charges.
My dear Marquis, how unkind of you to use such language in my house to my guests. You know such rudeness is intolerable.
Madame Vivienne, I humbly beg your pardon.
You should. Whatever am I going to do with you, my dear? My lord, you're the wounded party in this unfortunate affair. What would you have me do with this foolish, foolish man?
The Marquis doesn't interest me. Do whatever you like with him.
Poor Marquis. Issuing challenges and hurling insults like some Ferelden dog-lord. And all dressed up in your Aunt Solange's doublet. Didn't she give you that to wear to the Grand Tourney? To think all the brave chevaliers who will be competing left for Markham this morning, and you're still here. Were you hoping to sate your damaged pride by defeating the Herald of Andraste in a public duel? Or did you think his sword would end the shame of your failure? Run along, my dear. Do give my regards to your aunt. I'm delighted you could attend this little gathering. I've so wanted to meet you. Allow me to introduce myself. I am Vivienne, first Enchanter of Montsimard and Enchantress to the Imperial Court.
Is that Marquis going to pose a problem?
His aunt is the Vicomtesse of Mont de Glace. Not a powerful family, but well respected. and very devout. Alphonse will be disowned for this. It's not the first time he's brought his aunt disgrace, but I'm sure it'll be the last. And after such a public humiliation, I expect he'll run off to the Dales to join the Empress's war effort. Either to make a good end, or to win back a modicum of self-respect.
Charmed, Lady Vivienne.
Ah, but I didn't invite you to the chateau for pleasantries. With Divine Justina dead, the Chantry's in shambles. Only the Inquisition might restore sanity and order to our frightened people. As the leader of the last loyal mages of Thedas, I feel it only right that I lend my assistance to your cause.
Is your interest in the Inquisition Madame de Fer, or is it more personal?
Aren't you charming? It's professional, of course.
You say you led the last of the loyal mages. Loyal to whom?
To the people of Thedas, of course. We have not forgotten the commandment, as some have, that magic exists to serve man. I support any effort to restore such order.
So you're in favor of returning the mages to the Circle, then?
Where else can mages safely learn to master their talents? We need an institution to protect and nurture magic. Maker knows, magic will find neither on its own.
What's in this for you?
The same thing anyone gets by fighting this chaos. The chance to meet my enemy, to decide my fate. I won't wait quietly for destruction.
Are you devout? What's your opinion of the Chantry?
I was a great admirer of the late Divine Justina V. The Chantry, at its best, unites the disparate cultures of Thedas and looks after its most vulnerable. Had she lived, Justina could have accomplished so much.
You are aware that the Chantry hasn't sanctioned this Inquisition.
The Chantry is leaderless. They're in no position to officially sanction anything. Besides, my dear, if there is one virtue the Chant of Light teaches us, it is forgiveness. Once the Inquisition has sealed the breach, I'm sure the new Divine will not care in the slightest about official permission.
What exactly can you do for the Inquisition?
I am well versed in the politics of the Orlesian Empire. I know every member of the Imperial Court personally. I have all the resources remaining to the Circle at my disposal. And I'm a mage of no small talent. Will that do?
The Inquisition will be happy to have you, Lady Vivienne.
Great things are beginning, my dear. I can promise you that. You came from the Circle at Ostwick, did you not? Senior Enchanter Lydia was a dear friend of mine. Were you at all acquainted?
Lydia was my instructor. She was almost a mother to me.
I never met a wiser soul than her. I understand she was killed by one of her own students when the Ostwick Circle rebelled. I think we both agree that this war must end.
The Circle had plenty of problems, but it's an institution we sorely need.
I wish more people understood the truth of this. Justinia's death has shattered the balance of power in Thedas. If it is not restored quickly, countless lives will be lost. Mages, Templars, innocent people of all kinds now look to the Inquisition to decide their fate.
I'll try not to let them down.
Failure is a luxury we cannot afford, my dear. For almost 1,000 years, the world believed it was in the hands of the Maker. And now many believe you are the agent of his will. Whatever the truth is, that belief gives you power.
Once this is over, the task of speaking for the Maker will be the Chantry's problem again.
That's reassuring to hear.
I wanted to ask you about the Circle of Magi.
Of course. What do you wish to know?
What was it like to live in a circle?
My dear, your question is the root of all problems with mages. I cannot tell you. Every circle was different. Their Templars were different, their politics unique. And every person within each tower had an experience of circle life unique to themselves. Some people suffered and some were content. Some were cruel, some compassionate, and some indifferent. The same is true of people everywhere, in all circumstances, whether they are mages or not.
So, tell me about your personal experience with the Circle.
I enjoyed life in the Montsimard Circle, my dear. It was an edifice devoted to knowledge and refinement. And mages need the company of other mages. No one else can truly understand the challenges we face, nor see the world as we do.
You must have been under constant supervision being forced by Templars to live in the tower. Was that hard to endure?
My dear, I have a suite in the palace and a wing at my dear Duke Bastien's estate. I've never been forced to live anywhere. Most circles allowed mages to live away from the tower, either on their own or in service to the nobility. All that was required was permission from the first enchanter. Some circles were harsher in their restrictions. Kirkwall was the worst, but it was the exception. Most were quite permissive. Perhaps too permissive, in retrospect.
You must have an opinion of the Templars after living so long in the Circle.
Having opinions about Templars, my dear, is exactly like having opinions about mages or Navarrans or men. I have known some who were impossible to endure and some who were utterly charming. I have suffered insults at the hands of those in the armor, but no more than I endured from nobles or tradesmen in Val Royaux. Personally, I have found the Templars a useful tool, skilled at keeping more unpleasant elements at bay.
Did they have cause to rebel?
In the aftermath of their terrorist attacks? Was that really the most opportune time to break away? By all means protest abuses by the Templars. Just don't do it in a way that says mages support wholesale murder. By voting when they did, my colleagues all but declared war upon the ordinary people of Thedas. A war in which we are outnumbered 100 to 1.
I am Enchanter Elendra. I hope you find a way to end this foolish war.
If you're a mage, why aren't you with the rebel mages?
I was an enchanter in the College of Equitarians. We wanted tolerance, not war. By rights, I am sworn to join the rebels. But I had friends among the Templars. I will not fight them. I know my own strength. I have no fear of demons. I will keep to myself and harm none.
I believe this is your phylactery. I found it on the body of a dead Templar named Matrin.
Ah. I suspected he died when he did not join me or send word. Maker curse the fools who started this war. And the fools who now fight it. Thank you. Matrin was important to me. Here, for your trouble.
The Inquisition could use the skills of a powerful mage.
If I wished to kill others, I would have joined the rebels. How is the Inquisition any better?
The Inquisition is our chance to restore order, Enchanter. Without it, we'll be no better than apostates.
Madame Vivienne, court mage of the Empress of Orlais. I am honored. And if you back the Inquisition, so shall I. My skills are yours. Just give me a moment to gather my things.
You sent your stable hands and your horses to the Inquisition. What about you?
Well, you've cleaned up the area, and I can't say I'm not tempted. Still, it feels wrong to abandon my land to go play horsemaster again.
Enough. I can call in favors with a chevalier in Val Royaux and acquire an Orlesian horsemaster easily enough.
The Orlesians? Hang that. No hopped-up Orlesian pissboy knows more about horses than I do. All right, Inquisition. I'll look to your horses myself. Never let it be said that Redcliffe gave less than the best. Just let me settle matters here and say goodbye to my wife. I'll meet you at Haven.
Welcome, agents of the Inquisition. First Enchanter Vivienne?
My dear Fiona, it's been so long since we last spoke. You look dreadful. Are you sleeping well?
What has brought you to Redcliffe?
Is this some sort of test? We're here because you invited us in Val Royaux.
You must be mistaken. I haven't been to Val Royaux since before the Conclave.
There is no mistake. While the Templars were leaving, you came to Val Royeaux and asked me here.
The Templars left Val Royeaux? Where did they go? That sounds... Why does that sound so strange? Whoever or whatever brought you here, the situation has changed. The Free Mages have already pledged themselves to the service of the Tevinter Imperium.
Fiona, dear, your dementia is showing.
Andraste's ass. I'm trying to think of a single worse thing you could have done, and I've got nothing.
I understand that you are afraid, but you deserve better than slavery to Tevinter.
Inquisition, huh? I wish to holy Andraste you'd gotten here sooner. These Tevinters make my shoulder blades itch.
Who are you?
Name's Tolwyn, formerly of the Circle of Magi in Hosberg. Lived my whole life there, since I was 10 years old and came into my magic. 3 meals a day, quality education, a roof over my head. If you're not summoning demons, a mage tower's a fine place to be.
If you were happy in the Circle, why are you here with the rebels?
We're all rebels now. The vote saw to that. The majority wanted to dissolve the Circles. The rest of us went with them or were cut loose.
There are still some of us who are loyal in the Empress's court.
I figured I'm better off with my fellow mages than on my own.
Goodbye.
Be careful. The Tevinters likely aren't happy you're asking questions.
The Inquisition. Thank the Maker you came.
Yes.
Tell me you're here to reinstate the Circles and end this madness.
If we want to help.
All right, we'll do it.
I thought this was the stronghold of the rebellion. Why do you want the Circles back?
I never supported this rebellion. I'm a loyal Andrastian, and I deplore the chaos this war has wrought. The Templars rebelling, the murder of the Most Holy. I can scarce live with the guilt.
Then what are you doing in Redcliffe?
The Circles voted. Rebellion won out. What was I to do? Launch a counter-rebellion on my own? I followed my first Enchanter's lead, as I always have. She brought us here.
I take it you don't support the Tevinters?
Andraste's ashes, never. They don't even sing the right chant. And they sacrifice children, don't they? I don't know how the Grand Enchanter could think of accepting their offer. You can get us out of this bargain, can't you? Before we're all shipped off to the Imperium like cattle.
I haven't seen anyone from Tevinter in the village.
They're all at the castle, plotting, no doubt.
I'm sorry, I didn't get your name.
Hanley Dervain of the Cumberland Circle of Magi. I heard of your miraculous survival at the Temple of Sacred Ashes, and I am so honored to meet you.
Thank you for your time.
It's been an honor.
So each ocularum is made from the skull of a tranquil.
I had hoped they were safe with the rebel mages. I see that I was mistaken.
I figured they'd fled with the rebel mages. Poor bastards.
I had wondered what had become of them when the mages rebelled. What a tragic waste.
You're from the Inquisition. I didn't think you'd still be here. Were you really looking to ally with us?
This rebellion is doomed. I offered your leaders a way to end it peacefully.
There was no other way. Do you think any of us wanted this? On the run, everyone hating us. What choice did we have? Stay and be slaves?
There are better ways than war to effect change.
Sometimes to achieve the world one desires, one must take regrettable measures.
I hope you can do something. Tying ourselves to Tevinter. That can't be the right way to end this.
Take care of yourself. There's something strange going on.
I never thought the Grand Enchanter would swear to a Magister.
Who are you?
Ah, getting ahead of myself again, I see. Dorian of House Parvis, most recently of Minrathous. How do you do?
Let one Tevinter in, suddenly they're scurrying out of all the walls like roaches.
Now, I'm ever so much more handsome than a cockroach. Magister Alexius was once my mentor, so my assistance should be valuable, as I'm sure you...
The malcontents pledged themselves to Tevinter and joined a cult. I can hardly wait to see what comes next.
Yeah, I saw something like this back in Kirkwall. It may end with someone turning into a monster made of corpses.
How did you come to be a Templar?
It seemed the right thing to do. My family are tradesfolk in Denerim. I could have become a cobbler like my father, but this seemed better. It's a chance to uphold the Chantry's laws and help the mages through a troubled time.
I'm surprised to hear that.
Not all Templars want to make mages into prisoners or villains. Some of us just want to keep a balance and let you practice your craft in safety. One person trying to do something can make a difference. You should keep that in mind, Harold.
I will talk to you later.
The Herald of Andraste! Lord Esmerel Abernash, honored to participate. It is not unlike the second dispersal of the reclaimed Dales. Ah, Lady Vivienne, we met at last summer's ball. The Duke introduced us.
Indeed. I could not possibly forget the occasion.
Chantry and Andraste, Bride of the Maker, Lady of Luck. Traditionally, a participant in the rite now explains their choices to those assembled.
My choices represent my political concerns.
With the Templars front and center, we'll see if the Lord Seeker enjoys the flattery.
There was corruption here, but also I see valor and honor in each of you who stood fast. Rise tall again. Help the Inquisition seal the breach before it swallows us all.
You speak truths we should never have ignored. But the Order is leaderless, gutted by betrayal. We must rebuild it.
There is no time. If the old order is too broken to stand, then become knights under the Inquisition. Serve us, stop the breach, and begin again without stain on your honor. That is our offer.
If it is the only way, Templars, will we serve the Inquisition to atone for our failure? So be it. The Order will disband and take up the Inquisition's banner. We'll need weapons, training grounds, a place to rest. The Inquisition must prepare for our arrival.
We'll be ready for anyone willing to throw their hat in with us.
It is good that you salvaged as many Templars as you did, my dear. We will need every Templar, but they will require proper management. We also need to increase our lyrium supplies considerably. The Chantry may still have stockpiles we can use.
We likely need more than they have. Our enemies have magic that can rip open the Fade.
Indeed. We may need Josephine to open negotiations with the dwarves directly. The breach has done more than disfigure the sky. The veil itself is broken. All mages, no matter how skilled, are now in danger of drawing demons to them. Before this crisis is over, you may find that Templars, flawed as they may be, are all that stand between us and chaos.
I'm glad that one of us has confidence in the Templars.
It is not a matter of confidence. Reality does not change based on feelings. Magic is dangerous just as fire is dangerous. Anyone who forgets this truth gets burned.
You're right, but Templars are a poor solution.
They are men, and all men are flawed. That some fail does not mean that none should try. The fact remains that there is no cure for an abomination except death. Someone must strike the killing blow. Who shall lower the blade if not a Templar? Tell me something. You told me that you'd see the Chantry restored. What about the Circle?
Mages shouldn't be kept out of the Chantry. Who knows the dangers of magic better than a mage?
A curious idea. Such twists and turns your mind takes. It's something to consider.
So the Templars will put their powers to use, sealing the breach. Any group corrupted by a demon must be watched carefully. At least they know how to fight. The people of Haven will not survive on their own.
Thank you. These shits almost had me. Let's go.
I believe that is everyone. Best to follow.
With fear running rampant, they need to see a mage standing for what is right. I'll defeat Corypheus standing with them, not over them.
Wherever you lead us.
Have our people been told?
They have. And soon, the world.
Commander, will they follow?
Inquisition, will you follow? Will you fight? Will we triumph? Your leader, your herald, your Inquisitor!
Maker, you're a mess. Let me have a look at you. Are you all right, my dear? Were you hurt? You look dreadful.
I'll be fine, don't worry.
You bear it well. Good. The troops will take their cue from your composure. Now, let's keep up appearances. You've handled this crisis competently, saving as many lives as you did. But the enemy struck a serious blow against you and the Inquisition. We must recognize that. You must.
For every person I saved, 2 more were cut down. I failed them.
You haven't failed them, my dear. The men and women who fight for you gave their lives for a great cause, and they fought to the end. The rest still fight, and you will fail them if you give up now. Our enemy advances, Inquisitor. We must not sit idly by. Act first, and teach them to fear us. I think you know what needs to be done, my dear. You've made such intriguing design choices for the castle, my dear. They must be inspired.
I strive to match your elegant sense of style.
When things have settled down a bit, I will take you to Val Royeaux and introduce you to my seamstress. And appearances are important. We can't have you mistaken for a commoner.
I suppose it's important to show that we're an authority to be respected.
Not just respected, my dear. Awed, feared, aspired to. You command an army of the faithful, outfitted by the coin of the nobility. You must be a man who the common folk aspire to be and to whom the nobility bow.
And you think I can accomplish this purely through fashion?
It is a weapon in your arsenal. Don't overlook it, my dear. As the stories of the Inquisition spread, more and more people will wonder if you are the man they say you are. They will question what they've heard, but they will believe what they see. They must see someone greater than legends.
If that's your standard for me, what does the Divine have to live up to?
Andraste and the Maker cast very large shadows. The Divine absolutely must set the example for all Thedas. She must seem to be the embodiment of the Maker to the faithful. She needs the authority of the Maker and the charisma of Andraste. It will be no small task to fill that vacant throne. You must be pleased, apostate. With the Templars dissolved, your rebels will be most difficult to pacify.
My rebels? Am I an agent for their cause? Whispering poison into the Inquisition's ears? How comforting.
You enjoy seeing yourself as a villain?
No more than any other clever man who wonders what he could do if pushed. But I meant you, Enchanter. How comforting it must be for you to see a traitor helping the rebels from within. You need never concern yourself with the possibility that your circle was wrong. You require a mana cleansing to remove the residual energies on your staff.
The Circle's training in energy modulation is thorough. I sincerely doubt you could add anything.
So you intend for your staff to carry that particular aura?
Is that a problem, my dear?
No, as you were.
You know, Solus, you do an excellent job of spellcasting without any concrete knowledge of technique.
Your rigorous training lays a solid foundation, true. It also creates boundaries, limits, where none need exist.
I do prefer to have boundaries between myself and the demons, my dear.
Of course. You endure the harrowing, where your circle teaches you that all demons attempt to possess you.
Not at all. Many of them simply want to kill you. I suppose you would claim otherwise.
Why should I? You would not believe me. You have learned your lessons all too well. Tell me, Enchanter, do you even bother to explore the Fade in your dreams?
I prefer to explore the world I actually live in.
A pity. You could be much more powerful if you ventured outside your narrow preconceptions.
Ah, the temptation to leave the path. You sound like a pride demon.
Enchanter, any pride demon you met would just walk away, shaking its head and laughing uncontrollably.
Oh, darling, more than one already has.
The fact that I, an apostate, have not been enslaved by demons must be quite vexing, Enchanter.
Not at all, darling. You clearly have an exceptional gift for the Fade.
You flatter me.
I'm far more surprised you haven't been murdered by terrified villagers wielding pitchforks.
Yes, packing all the mages into towers and threatening them with Templars certainly kept them safe.
It did, until a rogue apostate destroyed Kirkwall's chantry and started a fight most mages did not want.
Your circle was a tightly clamped lid on a boiling pot. It held for a while, and unless you looked inside, it all seemed fine. Then everyone feigned surprise when it finally burst.
You stay and do whatever you can to help. Stroud died for the ideals of the Wardens. In war, victory. And we are still at war. Do you believe the Wardens can still help?
I do, your worship.
You're still vulnerable to Corypheus, and possibly his Venatori. But there are plenty of demons that need killing.
Are you flinging these fools at demons now, my dear? Couldn't you just use rocks?
Please, I beg you, don't tell Gaspard. The Empress beguiled me into giving her information about plans for troop movements in the palace tonight. She knows everything. Everything. The Duke's surprise attack has been countered before it ever began. She's turned it into a trap. The moment he strikes, she'll have him arrested for treason.
Clever Celine. Even I'm impressed.
Oh, Olivia.
My dear, I'm afraid I must ask you for help. There is an alchemical formula that I must complete, but I have been unable to obtain a critical ingredient. The heart of a snowy wyvern. I had arranged to obtain one, but the chevaliers working with me were killed in the Civil War.
I didn't know you were an alchemist, Vivienne. What exactly is this project you're working on?
It is a special request from a member of the Council of Heralds. I am still the Imperial Court Enchanter, after all. The matter is private. That is all there is to say.
You want me to risk my life to get this thing for you, but won't tell me what it's for.
My dear, it is hardly proper for me to blab the secrets of those who put trust in my discretion. I would do no less for you, after all.
I'm not a hunter. Why do you think I can help?
This beast is not hunted for sport, as other wyverns sometimes are. It is far more deadly. In the past, chevaliers have been dispatched to either kill the creatures or drive them away from villages. Since my chevaliers have fallen to political conflict, I find myself in need of someone with a martial aptitude.
I'll do what I can.
Thank you, my dear. I would be most grateful. I shall give the location of its lair to Cullen. Remember, my dear, I must have its heart, or the potion will not work. I eagerly await your success. What can I do for you, my dear? Is it too much to hope that you've brought me the heart of the snowy wyvern?
I've brought you the heart as requested.
Inquisitor, you are a treasure. Please accept this as your payment. I must begin work immediately. You have been a dear friend, and I would like you to come with me. This should only take a moment, Inquisitor. I'm here, my darling.
Vivienne,
Yes, darling.
it's going to be all right, my love.
My darling? Bastien?
Vivienne, I'm sorry.
There's nothing here now. Bastien is dead. I can hardly believe. It was the Wintersend Ball. My first visit to the Imperial Palace. The Circle sent a dozen of us to entertain the nobility. I was in awe of everyone and everything, and then our eyes met. Bastien spent the entire ball at my side. The Dowager tried to have him killed for slighting her, but he didn't care.
Obviously he was smitten, but what did you think of him?
He was a dashing rogue, and any defects he might have had were made up for with rank and importance. It was a more innocent time, I suppose. And now he's gone, and I must write to his son Laurent. And his sister will make a terrible fuss if she isn't informed first. And I'll need to arrange for the Chantry services. Maker only knows how long that will take.
I'm so sorry for your loss, Vivienne.
You're too kind. I'll mend. Excuse me, I have so much to do. Inquisitor, what can I do for you, darling?
I'd like to know more about you, Madame Vivienne.
Whatever would you like to know?
Why don't you tell me more about your Duke?
Bastien was the leader of the Council of Heralds. The only person who could bring that rabble into line. He could charm a bird out of its feathers, and frequently did. I remember once, he broke up a fight between Prosper de Montfort and the Dowager with a joke and a glass of wine. Oh, Bastien. I'm sorry, my dear. I don't think I can discuss this. My dear, I know you must have a great deal on your mind right now, but I need to speak with you. You know as well as I how far the Inquisition's influence has spread, and how desperate the Grand Clerics have become. Our opinion will be instrumental in their election of the new Divine.
I thought that might be coming after the Grand Ball.
The Inquisition may not be invited to their vote, but our actions will certainly influence the Grand Clerics. To sit on the Sunburst throne, a candidate should have grace, charm, and a will of solid steel. Cassandra may lack the first two, but unless you can think of someone better, she is the strongest choice.
What would your ideal Divine do with her power?
The most important thing, of course, is the restoration of the Circles and the Templar Order. The institutions that have protected Thedas for ages must be rebuilt, and the malcontents utterly crushed. We cannot allow anarchists to threaten the lives of the innocent. After we have restored sanity to the world, there will be time to address voices of dissent.
Where can we find candidates outside of the Chantry? There must be someone other than Liliana or Cassandra.
The Chantry is already desperate. They would not look to unordained women if they had any choice. You may have better luck searching the halls of the Imperial Court. There are many women serving the Empire who have the necessary presence and acumen.
Actually, I think you fit the criteria perfectly, Vivienne.
Me? My dear Inquisitor, Thedas will never accept a mage as divine.
A few words to the right people, and we can ensure no one objects to you taking the Sunburst throne.
You do have a point, and a modicum of talent for the game. If the clerics could be persuaded to consider me, and it's not impossible, I could hardly refuse now, could I? We will have to be very mindful of everything we do and say, for the Conclave certainly is doing the same. If they look to the Inquisition to provide a sign of the Maker's will, we will have to give them the right one.
I expected ruins.
They were. As you see, the Inquisition has not been idle.
Would it be possible to meet the Herald before we return to Ghislaine?
My dear Laurent, for you, anything. Allow me to present Inquisitor Trevelyan.
Your worship, you do us great honor.
Inquisitor, this is my dear Bastien's sister, Grand Cleric Marceline, and his son, Duke Laurent of the Council of Heralds.
Madame de Fer has told us what great trials you faced, trying to save my poor brother's life.
The Maker called my father to his side. It was valiant of you to champion him in his final hours.
If only I'd been able to save Bastien.
The Circle of Magi told Bastien many years ago that his illness was incurable. It was simply his time.
Would you mind waiting for me in the chapel, my dears? The Inquisitor and I have business to discuss.
It has been our very great pleasure, Herald.
This has been quite the triumph, hasn't it? They just adore you.
Duke Bastien's family seem quite pleasant.
Ordinarily, I would have warned you that Marceline has the temper of a hungry vulture, but she's quite taken with you. Laurent is a dear, almost as pious as his aunt, and new to a seat of great power in the Empire. And Marceline is one of the strongest voices among the Grand Clerics. Now they will both come to us for advice. The Inquisition is truly a power now, and there's no telling how far its influence will reach. But enough of this talk. Here, I have something for you. I commissioned this ring from the Formari, the greatest enchanters in all Thedas, for you.
And what comes attached to this ring, may I ask?
The friendship of all the Circle, should you need it. Once it was customary for the Circles to craft enchantments for their staunchest friends and allies. And you have been both. I must go to see my guests now. Another time, darling.
Do you think Templars should cease to exist?
No. I may have chosen to leave that life, but I respect those who remain. Magic ungoverned could tear the world apart. It's doing so now. Templars are trained and able to confront such dangers.
What would you suggest?
Some call the Circle a prison that can only breed resentment. Perhaps opportunities to work outside the Circle. A mixed military service or healers' clinics with Templar support. And there must be a safer way for Templars to leave. Templars can lose their memories to lyrium. Some call it a gift, to forget the failed harrowings, the demons. Some atrocities haunt me still. But to lose what good I can recall, I nearly lost my mind once. It is no gift.
So many in the Templar ranks fallen to this corruption. At least those with the Inquisition have some sense. So, Apostate, if the Circle is such a failure, what would be your solution? Would you have your fellow mages live among the people, unguarded, unwatched?
Yes.
And when they became possessed, or used their power to harm?
I would kill them. Magic is more elegant than a blade or a bow, but a murderer remains a murderer.
So you alone would pass judgment, repay murder with murder? Or do we open this up to mobs and vigilantes? If you're going to dispense justice upon violent mages yourself, you'll need eternal life and omniscience. If only there were individuals dedicated to finding and eliminating such criminals. Perhaps they might help.
I am certain they would, until black and white distinctions perverted their simple minds. Do enjoy this time, Enchanter. You may miss your freedom when you lock yourself back up in some tower.
Imprisonment is largely a matter of who holds the keys.
You so often come out on top. You play the political games brilliantly.
A compliment, although you speak it as a curse.
You could use those skills to improve the lives of your fellow mages. Instead, you have done nothing save consolidate your own power.
What if keeping my power might in fact improve the lives of my fellow mages?
You honestly believe the world is better off with you setting its course?
I need not be in the spotlight, but after watching others try and fail, why should I not have a turn?
Then, Enchanter, I leave you with the greatest curse of my people, Durtharamar.
What rustic elven curse is that, Apostate?
May you learn.
The Grey Warden mages must be an inspiration, Solus. Free of the constraints of the Circle, they have shown that they need no oversight to guide themselves. Ah, but then they behaved rather atrociously. What a pity.
I never claimed mages should be above the law, Enchanter.
No, darling. You merely implied it, while offering no viable suggestions for improvement. I always have time for you, my dear.
What are your thoughts about the others in the Inquisition?
You of course mean to speak of your Tevinter paramour. I doubt I can be impartial about him. I have been a Circle mage far too long. But he does have a great sense of fashion. I'll give him that.
Vivienne, we can continue this dance forever if you wish.
Presuming both of us are capable.
I mock Orlesian frippery and nonsense, you mock Tevinter decadence and tyranny. There is, however, something far more important we should remember.
Just what might that be?
At least we're not Antivan.
Quite right. Thank the Maker.